Senator Canavan.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. It's great to stand up here and contribute to this debate, because this debate will clearly show what's different between us and them. They think, the Labor Party think that we're just like them. They think that we are us, we're all us, and we are just like them. Well, we are not. We are not like you, Senator Polley. We actually are making decisions consistent with good cabinet government. Unlike the government that you administered for 6 years, we have made decisions consistent with things going through cabinet, going through national security committees, going through the party room as well, and a clear decision has been made by the cabinet to remove citizenship from those Australians, those dual citizenship Australians, who fight in terrorist armies overseas, at times against Australian troops, but in terrorist armies. We have made a clear decision through the entire coalition decision-making process that those people should have their citizenship stripped in that case. Now, that is our decision. That's what we've done, and we've put it through the process. But the Labor Party, that's not their position. That's not their position, because sometime in the last 24 hours, I'm not exactly sure when Mr Dreyfus appeared on Sky News recently, this morning, thank you, Senator Brandis. Mr Dreyfus, the Shadow Attorney-General, was on news this morning asked directly about this question, about whether dual citizens should have their citizenship stripped in the case of themselves fighting in terrorist armies, and he was putting the case that, well, we need to give them some kind of judicial review on this decision. We need to let the courts decide whether they should have their citizenship stripped. And there's a practical issue here, of course. How are you going to have that court review when we're trying to keep these people out? And Mr Dreyfus' response was very clear, very clear. You get them back here. That's what he said. Direct quotes. He was asked, how are we going to provide a court review process for people who have been suspected and probably have been involved in fighting for terrorist armies overseas? Well, the policy now apparently of the Labor Party is you get them back here. You get them back here. And this is how we are different from them. We believe that we don't want to get people who have been fighting in terrorist armies back here. We want to keep them out of here. They, the Labor Party, want to bring them back. They want to bring them back into our country, people that have been potentially fighting against Australians, people that have signed up with a loyalty to another cause that is inconsistent with the requirements of being an Australian, supporting Australia. They want to get them back here in this country and potentially spread their message of hate and intolerance through our land and our country as well. Well, we reject that. That is not our policy. That is not what the coalition stands for. We will fight every day and week to ensure that these people do not come back into our country, and we're able to keep our people safe from the harm that they would seek to do to us. The other way we're different from the Labor Party is that we have gone through that proper process, and there is a litany, an absolute litany of examples from the previous Labor government of how they corrupted a cabinet decision-making process, how they ignored collective decision-making, how often decisions were rammed through by one or two or four individuals. And I'm only going to quote in what we've seen many examples of that this week on our TVs, but there was also a book written late last year by Paul Kelly which extensively catalogued these examples. And just one quote from that book was, "The same story often occurred at cabinet meetings with a Gang of Four," that is the Strategic Budget and Priorities Committee, which thankfully no longer exists. Julia Gillard recalls, and she said, "I saw him," that is Kevin Rudd, "treat the whole National Security Committee badly. He'd keep them waiting endless hours. He'd come in late, grumpy, carrying around his bloody cushion, looking miserable, treating them like school children." Well, that doesn't happen under a coalition government. We still have a National Security Committee, but it meets regularly, it makes decisions in an orderly way, and it's not treated with the kind of disrespect that was shown by the former Labor government. And you need to have that process if you want to keep Australians safe. You have to have these things in place if you want to make sensible decisions after due consideration of the issues to keep Australians safe. And this debate is about that. That is exactly what this debate is about. It's about one of our fundamental priorities here as a parliament, and those that are in the government, their job, their almost number one job, is to try their best to keep Australians safe. We will never necessarily succeed every time, but we must do all we can to keep them safe. The Coalition's government is committed to doing that and making the appropriate changes to law to have that done. The Labor Party, there's a huge question mark right now.